interception. We don't know so.
What a remarkable drive, man. That's an All-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, when you have a guy as that electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there. Anything can happen. This game is not over.
Yo, what's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty. We are going to only have Bill here with me tonight on the podcast. Rob had a lot of work to do, and so just me and Bill here for the podcast. An interesting week that we have to cover this week. Week 3 was, I would have to say, as you guys can see from the podcast title, the week of the upset. A lot of big teams falling. I wanted to look into this before, but it was quite a bit of undefeated teams coming into this week, and then we're down to just 2 right now. What is your thoughts right now on the current college series? Like, how are you feeling after that week? How can you sum up week 3 real fast?
I feel like we had a thought that there were certain teams that were just going to run away with things, but this week showed that, man, this thing is still wide open, man. This could be anybody's season yet, and we're only in week 3, so obviously things are going to change, but to see things adjust so much off of a couple of key games this week really shows that it's definitely not just 3-4 teams this year that guys got to look out for it. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a lot more closer and more difficult for guys to get positioning this year than it was last year for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. With that being said, let's go ahead and start recapping these games. The first game to kick off the week, upset off the rip. Michigan versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma, the first 2 weeks, were able to come back and pull off 2 amazing comebacks, which, in the first place, they shouldn't have been against their opponents. And they finally met a match in which they could not come back from. Michigan, once they turned on the gas, it was over. 34-6 ends up being the final score. And, man, Sooners take their first L in a big way. Thoughts on this?
This was ugly, man. Oklahoma, I don't know what happened here. Like you said, man, they fell behind the last 2 weeks. They tried to make comebacks. They did make comebacks, but Michigan was on. This was a statement game for Michigan, I think. I've been giving Michigan a hard time. They had a really bad series 2. We gave quarterback Austin Briley a lot of flack in the beginning when we were looking and saw his awareness is like 64 or whatever it was. But Briley has been on point, man. And Michigan is looking like a team to worry about, which I would not have saw coming, a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, I don't really know what to peg Oklahoma as right now because we saw them have the crazy comebacks, but then they come in here, for Michigan, and Michigan's on the road and just it stomps them. Like, this was not a close game. This wasn't man, Oklahoma almost had it again. No, they got beat down and they never really came back. So I mean, statement game for Michigan. Oklahoma's got to go back to the drawing board, do some soul searching this week because it was ugly.
Yeah, this got extremely bad. For Oklahoma, it was crazy. I remember the first half, Allen Mourning was looking great. He just had a lot of drop passes from his receivers in the first half, and I was expecting a great second half from him that was going to, separate because they trailed by more than this in the first 2 games that they played in the first half. They were down by, I believe it was like 24 to 6 against Arizona State in the first game, and then it was like 23-7 against Auburn in the second. This game at the half, I think it was like 13-6. At that point, you're like, okay, this is a much closer gap. So I'm assuming against a better team than those 2 that they played first, they're putting on a better first half performance. So I was looking for that second half explosion that we usually get out of them, and it just never came. Allen Mourning just went for the worst. A lot of missed passes, a lot of missed opportunities, and just did not come ready to finish the game. And Austin Briley just stood everybody up. I mean, this guy just outperformed what everyone expected him to do. Everyone talked about that awareness with 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions for a second consecutive week. I mean, that's saying a lot. Oklahoma's defense, though, I mean, I worry a lot about their secondary, and they give up a lot of yards through the air. They honestly didn't do too much of that, but they gave up touchdowns, in those situations. The week before against Auburn, those dudes could not stop anybody from going down the field, even if it was a lineman. So when you think about, how Oklahoma, comes out that flat against a tough team, it does lead you to wonder, how good really are they? I mean, the teams they came back and won against are 0-3. So, is Oklahoma even any good right now in this series? That's what kind of makes you think about that if you take a loss like this from Michigan.
Yeah, there's a few teams that are like they seem to be some pretenders right now, and Oklahoma's right up there because it's like you said, 2-0-3 teams, and now Michigan just
stomped them.
Stomped them out.
Stomped
Like
them,
there's no other way to put it. Like Michigan whooped y'all. Like
destroyed.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the more empty 2-1 records that we have right now, honestly, with Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, great win for Austin Briley. Great win there for the Wolverines. And we'll move on to the next game, Texas A&M versus Baylor. This was a interesting game because Texas A&M, their first two games, came in here 2-0. They looked very, surprising. I didn't think anyone expected Texas A&M to come out so hot. And they kind of came out hot in this game. I thought that Baylor, would kind of show their dominance and their separation on where they should be against, Texas A&M, where we thought they would. But Baylor just absolutely, they had trouble, especially passing. Atomo, look, 15 of 31, 139 passing yards, no touchdowns. They shut the pass game absolutely down. They shut the run game down. Bronze usually looks like a monster. Only 56 yards and touchdown. The touchdown was good. But their defense came ready to play, but unfortunately, still not enough for the Aggies as the Baylor Bears win it 20-13.
Very, very defensive game for, I'd say, at least the first half here. And I thought A&M's defense, they put the clamps on Baylor's receivers. Yeah. I don't even know if I can put half those missed passes on Atomo. They were just great defensive plays by the secondary, by anybody who was covering a guy. They were right there swatting the ball away. Atomo, it looks really bad on him, but honestly, you can't even blame the Baylor receivers. It's just A&M's defense was all over them. And, like you said, they were able to put a stop on the run. Bronze wasn't really able to get going. Baylor, they came in the second half and they found a little bit of life, and it was just enough life to get out in front of Texas A&M and just not look back. I think that if A&M finds their defense was on point, but that offense,
yeah,
it just never really seemed to gel well enough to put points on the board, and that's what cost them this game. Otherwise, they get one or two plays to go their way, and I think Texas A&M wins this game because Baylor took a while to get going.
You know who they shut down to win this game though, man? Dubac was. They had him on locks, man. He didn't break over 100 yards this week. And Baylor's defense, they stepped up to the task. They minimized his big play ability. And, they gave up a lot of yards. You can see there, 354 yards. David Meyer, who's not that great of a quarterback overall-wise, is not expected to be. But still, Texas A&M putting up a great fight. And it's not like their defense just did this for this game. They've been doing it all season long. So Texas A&M looks like they're going to have themselves a sturdy defense that offenses and teams in general just going to have to look out for. And if they could get things going, on the offensive side of the ball, like you said, this could be a dangerous team. I really feel like that all falls on David Mayer because once teams key in on stopping Dubac, it's over. Mayer
isn't going to be that guy.
Yeah, he's just not a finisher. So it's just, I don't really think there will be a threat for that reason alone right there. So great win by the Baylor Bears. 2-1 for both Texas A&M. Even though you took your first loss of the season, it was a great loss. Even though that doesn't sound good, but at least you were very close to a really great Baylor team. Moving on to the next game, I think this is backwards. This was the main event game. Oh. Okay, yeah, this is what I was supposed to do for this. Okay, I'm supposed to click these on. Okay. So I know what to do. I got to click all these on and then click the other ones off. Got to take my time with this here, make sure everything's good. So you don't see all this stuff in the back here. That's not it. Wow. Well, it's okay. It's okay. This stuff gets confusing sometimes, man. All right, we should be good. All right, so I got to click these on individually because the reason why I'm having this mistake right now is I was not able to do the statistics for the premier games. And since I wasn't able to do that, all I can show you guys right now is just what the final score was in the main play guide. So Stanford took on Texas, and Stanford was able to come out on top with the victory here, 30-26. Texas, man, they're 1-2. Stanford's looking actually pretty solid. They're 2-1 right now, and I really like the run game of LeCavalier because he's I think been rushing for over 100 yards, 130 yards the past 2 weeks, and his big run with the nasty juke move and bounce to the outside is one of the main things that kickstarted this offense to help them win this game. What's your thoughts on this game?
Well, obviously it was a back and forth game, very close at the end. And Texas, they fall again, and I think that's sort of becoming somewhat of a constant at this point because they haven't really had much consistency, and I feel like this was Texas's game to win. But
Yeah.
I mean, King was throwing all over the place. He was getting the yardage, he was finding guys, but again, we've seen it. We have a few more coming up yet in the next couple of games. These costly interceptions can derail an entire game, and I feel like this might be one of those cases because King, didn't he have like 300 and something yards, 400 something yards? He was
up there.
He was throwing all over the place, but in a close game like this, you have these turnovers, and it costs you. Stanford did good things, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously they did. They put up 30 points. But I thought Texas should have won this based off of you're looking at just the production of both offenses. You take those turnovers away, and Texas blows Stanford out of the water when it comes to production on offense. But at the same time, Texas, this is just sort of up their alley. They had one win over Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State, and they shoot out 44-34. Yep.
And Arizona State is no team to really worry about. So I just feel like Texas has been really underperforming at this point, and I expected more out of them. I thought week one we saw some things that was like, okay, this team might have some stuff going for them, but we just haven't really seen that develop. And it seems like they're also shooting themselves in the foot more often than just getting straight out outplayed. And this was the case here for Texas. A heck of a game for Stanford, of course, but Texas, I thought, dropped this one.
Yeah, they finally got their submitted quarterback, wide receiver Dixon, to be able to join in, and their wide receiving core is
Dixon was
on fire his first game, actually being able to play for the Longhorns, and they still even had the Corey Smith, the generic wide receiver who's taken over for him the first 2 weeks, who's been balling. He's still got in the end zone for a touchdown. Only had the one catch for like 26 yards. So like their receiving core is fire. They have the ability to make plays. Moses King, I feel, he's got to be a lot better. He's got to be able to take care of the football. I think they take care of the football here. They win this game, like you said. And Stanford, I think they just grinded it out. They win. They look like they're a team that's going to grind it out to the end. And good win there for them. That's all I can really say about that. Moving on to the next game, Penn State versus OSU. These guys win it by literally 1 point. And there we go. We got the twin in the building. Got the twin in there.
Hey, while you're here?
Yeah.
Okay, say hi in the mic. Hi. All right, now go play.
Shout out to Bill's daughter, man.
She wants to be a YouTuber one day.
Yeah, get her right. Keep going a couple podcasts, man.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I said podcast. Penn State actually ends up winning this game from a blocked extra point attempt that could have tied the game. It just seems like Oklahoma State catches no break in either game they play. They haven't lost a game. I think the total cumulative amount of points that they've lost to in 3 games is literally a touchdown by 7 points. And when you think about that, and this is a team that honestly could and probably should be 3-0, but they're on the whole opposite end of things because they make mistakes, especially at the quarterback position. Been a lot of turnovers and things like that. He did not have any turnovers. He had one of his better games. No interceptions this week, 2 touchdowns. But still, right when they needed that seemed to be automatic play that you would assume just going to be knocked right through the uprights, Penn State closes it out with the block punt. They win it by 1 point, 23-22.
Like you said, OSU has been like, I mean, they're 0-3, but like you said, they've lost by so little in every game. They just sort of like Texas this last week. They shoot themselves in the foot, and I really thought this was their game to win, man. I like Penn State. Don't get me wrong. I like Edmund Yuki and I like Winbush. I think they're great players. But Penn State hasn't really been all that great either this year. Yes,
Yeah.
they're 2-1, but let's look at the games they won.
Yeah, the two games, both by 1 point.
Yes, OSU by a blocked punt, which is luck just as much as it is skill. And then you got the game with Wisconsin where, yeah, I like Wisconsin guys, but let's be honest, they're not a good team. They're 0-3. They're not it either. And Penn State is just, I thought this was the game OSU could get over. They could get in the win column, but again, they shoot themselves in the foot. Congrats to Penn State. I like some of their offensive pieces, but I just don't think Penn State is one of these high-end 2-1 teams. And this was, I thought, what OSU needed. This was the matchup I thought OSU could use to get themselves back in the groove, but it just didn't happen. So I'd say they're probably the best 0-3 team that we have in the series, but that only gets you so far.
Yeah, and you just got to be able to finish games, got to be able to execute in all levels at all times. And, that pretty much just sums up how the season's been going. A block punt, literally the last play. And you thinking like they're going to go to OT and it just doesn't happen. I mean, that's just upsetting. Euro Winbush had himself a great day, over 100 yards on the ground, touchdown. Yuki really didn't have too much of a productive day in terms of yards or anything, just had an average day. But OSU, there's honestly nothing too much to say about, this matchup other than, it's good execution on both sides, took care of the football and everything. And an unfortunate play for OSU and an excellent play for Penn State. Just comes out on top. That's tough. Go take another loss like that. But we move on to the following game. We had Maryland versus UCLA. Now UCLA has just been absolute garbage this season, man. I mean, these guys are getting blown out by everyone. Maryland, this is their first win on the season. They had some tough battles as well. Week 1, they played up against West Virginia, barely lost that game. They lost by 7. It was 14-21. Then they lost to Florida State literally on the final drive. Amari Bone, who's been killing it on the ground, game-winning touchdown on their final drive. They beat them 25-20, and this was the game for Maryland to win. They were able to do that. A great job by Desean Jackson. Finally, Flowers wakes up, the wide receiver. He's been quiet ever since being submitted late into the series. But he had himself a breakout game, over 100 yards, big touchdowns. I think he had 2 touchdowns in this game. And Maryland wins this one pretty easily, as they should here, 41-24.
Yeah, and this, like you said, UCLA, we were just talking about OSU being maybe one of the best 0-3 teams. Well, UCLA is the worst 0-3 team. They're just the worst team, period. If we could give them an honorary extra loss, we probably would have at this point. Just because that they've, like you said, and they haven't been in a game yet. But because of that, I like what Maryland has done. Granted, they started out 0-2. They haven't really been able to really, they just haven't really been able to gel. And but this win sort of comes for me with a little bit of an asterisk because it's UCLA.
Yeah.
I need to see some more out of them. I really liked what their halfbacks did. It seemed like the run game for the Terps was really, really good this week. Desean Jackson, I thought, had a great game. 4 touchdowns, I think it was.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns. Got the 1 interception.
He had 1 pick, but 4 touchdowns is a massive improvement what we saw from him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were already calling for heads in Maryland like in week 1, and he's I think steadily improved in each of the last 2 games since then. Hopefully they can carry this on to next week, but like I said, man, I got to this is a win that you can't really. I mean, obviously you're happy for the win, but you can't be too happy about it. I mean, it's UCLA. If you lose to UCLA, you might as well quit.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
So
it's sad to say that about a team so early too. It's only been 3 weeks.
It is, but I mean, there's no other way to put it. But yeah, Maryland gets the good win. I just think that Maryland can't get too excited about this win. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
They need 1 more yet against somebody who can at least try to play defense and go from there.
Yeah, and granted, Maryland, at the quarterback position, Desean Jackson's played some tough defenses, especially West Virginia. We know their defense is pretty solid. Florida State's is actually pretty okay as well. And so, getting up against a weaker opponent defensively, team in general like this, and being able to perform as you should. I mean, of course, you don't take this win and act like you just won a reload bowl or anything, but you do still look at this win and say, hey, we did what we were supposed to do, and hopefully take that into next week to see if they can get themselves another win on the season. So this was just them handling their business, doing their job. So great job by Desean Jackson and the Terps. Moving on, Washington versus Auburn. Now, I did not expect Auburn to be this bad in the series, to be honest. Auburn was a pretty solid team. They just were like a game off from making they were actually in consideration for the playoffs last year, and they just got nudged out by Clemson. And so when you think about that, and then you see what they've been going through now. I mean, last week they lost in a crazy game. They should have won against Oklahoma, coming back and beating them there. They lost in week 1 to Oregon. Oregon blew them out 41-24. And then you play Washington. Washington's been a little bit of an underrated, solid team. But, I mean, 34-16. This is probably got to be the worst Auburn team we've ever had in the college series right now. 0-3. I just was not expecting this bad of a beatdown. What's your thoughts on this?
This is another, and I saw some guys in the chat saying I should get closer to the mic. Sometimes it sort of drifts away from me like this, so let me know if this is better. My bad anyway by that.
Yeah, it seems like it's probably a little lower or something. Let me see. Do I got? Oh, I think no. Don't touch anything. I think it's my settings.
Oh, Smitty sabotaging me over here, guys.
Let me see. Yeah, it's the setting. I remember. Yeah, because we was in a call. I forgot to put this up to 100.
All right, so is this better for everybody?
Oh yeah, I can already hear you. My headphones better, so it should be better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had it at 70%. You had like 70% volume.
Oh, yeah, and I'm trying not to yell in the mic too because I'm so close to it. So that's probably was like a double negative against it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's get back to this game here. Yeah, man, Auburn has been another case where what happened? Same you can say with UCLA. Like UCLA has been, has been horrible this year, but they weren't bad last year. They weren't great, but they weren't bad. This year they're bad.
Trash.
Auburn, like you said, they were right there in the hunt last year. Now they're just looking for something. They're looking for help. They need some help. And they need extra help if they even find the initial help. I don't know what happened, man. They're grasping for anything. And again, sort of like I just said with Maryland, Washington played a good game, but who did you play? We're waiting for Washington to, show us what they got. And I think they played a good game. I do. But again, I can't anoint them anything because we know that Auburn has been struggling very, very much this year. And I just don't know if a win over Auburn is really gonna change anybody's mind yet on what Washington can do. So, yeah, these two teams to me are still way up in the air as what I can expect from this season. Auburn needs to find something because they got way too cool uniforms to not be playing this to be playing this bad. And yeah, so that's pretty much all I got. Auburn, it gets some help.
Yeah, as for Washington, man, I think they played pretty solid football in each of their games, to be honest. The first game they went up against South Carolina, was currently, undefeated, shockingly. And of course, we haven't gotten to that game, but everyone should know that at this point. They just lost to South Carolina in overtime in that opener to start the season, 26-20. They didn't even get the ball back. One thing that's very interesting about this Washington team is their running back, the generic Brendan. I'm forgetting his last name already. I had it in my head, but their running back. Go ahead and make sure that you watch film on Washington to make sure that guys understand. Brendan Haskins, that's his name. Brendan Haskins. He's been a beast in the backfield, man. When he gets that ball, he's hard to tackle. He breaks tackles. He hits moves. And he keeps the drive going. And the quarterback is like a 76 or something, 74, probably real low. But Elliott, he does pretty all right. Slinging the ball. But like you said, not really too much to go off of with this win over Auburn because Auburn has just been so terrible. I wrote Auburn off as winning this. I thought they were going to come in here and get it done, but obviously that wasn't the case. I mean, these guys pretty much doubled the score. They did double the score and then some. It's an 18-point deficit against Washington. I don't know what to take of that. I think Auburn's going to have themselves a really down year if they don't flip things around here.
It's just crazy, man. Some of these teams, I just can't believe that they're down this bad.
Yeah. And like I said, it's been an upset week. I mean, we already seen a couple. That's an upset to me. That's a pretty big upset. Even though they've been playing bad football, I still feel like Auburn should have been a lot more competitive than this. That's too bad of a blowout. Moving on to the next game.
Speaking of teams down in the dumps,
get the bell for Bill.
Oh, no,
Wisconsin.
We got some blowouts this week. This is when the bell comes out, huh?
Yeah, that the bell got to come out. But at the same time, man, TCU, this was way too close, man. This is a game that just about everyone expected you to blow out this team and win. And that didn't happen. Wisconsin almost, Bill's face, Wisconsin almost beat y'all handedly. If it wasn't for that comeback, I mean, I don't see how y'all would have really won this game. Y'all had some explosive play out of y'all wide receivers, but I mean, man, 37.
Why are we over here pretending like we just assumed that TCU was just gonna just beat the crap out of my Badgers? How do we get to this conclusion here? Because you said we, like me and you were the only ones here, and I didn't think that at all. Yeah,
I'm talking about me and the guys in the chat. Everybody, look, the result may not have been what we expected. But it was exactly what the end result was exactly what it was supposed to be.
Oh man!
So way to fumble the bag, Badgers.
We did, man, and we had 4 chances, I think, to put this thing away. It failed at every one of them. Pulled away in the first half. TCU came back. Pulled away in the second half twice, I think. Yeah, twice. Somewhat. I'm not saying huge, amounts, but they did. And let them back in. And then overtime, you had another opportunity. You failed there. TCU's had a rough start. TCU's had a really rough start to the season, I think, as well. But they have a lot of talent on this team. And I will admit, I thought TCU would win this game. I know what I say in the podcast, guys, but I do have realistic expectations. I just like riling you guys up because it's fun. But TCU has loaded, I think. I thought Speller had a pretty good game, and I thought Sharkley is playing out of his mind. I think Sharkley is up there right now as one of the most consistent and explosive offensive.
He's actually right now currently leading the league, the series in receiving yards.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me, but it does at the same time, just because TCU has had that up and down play so far this year. But Sharkley has been that guy. And he just jumps off the stat sheet. He jumps off the screen every time you're watching him play. But man, hats off to TCU, because it's hard enough to do one comeback. They did like 3 or 4 of them in this game to win it out. So they definitely well deserved. And Wisconsin just they just failed.
Yeah, the receivers were eating big time down the field, and Deoda Speller, like to give him a lot of flack for how he's been playing. But this guy's just a true gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball down the field no matter what. He's got that much trust in his arm and his wide receivers. And boy, did his wide receivers come up making big plays. He actually passed for over 500 yards in this game. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the first quarterback in this series to do so. And that is, I don't even think anybody has ever in the college series passed for over 500 yards. So this guy was bombing it down the field. He's got to cut down his turnovers and things like that. But like you could see, TCU is a team, an offensive team that is a strike away from just going down the field and putting up points easily. That those turnovers are the issue. So he just needs to work on that. The defense, I feel, needs to get a little bit better too, because Wisconsin was definitely hanging with them heavy. So TCU, this is a close game, but it's definitely a win you should have got. I really feel like Sharkley, he's killing it. Amari's killing it. Like I said, if they get, I also want to say consistency, not only out of Deoda Speller, but consistency out of their running back, Javon Berryhill too, because he did pretty good this game, but like the first couple of weeks, this guy has been shut down and stagnant, which leads to another area that needs to step up on offense, which is just simply the offensive line. I think the offensive line does terrible, and run blocking for sure. And they need to get better at that. I mean, you already know you're going to have those big play wide receivers that shoot over the top and make plays. And that's pretty much all TCU is relying on the offensive side of the ball. They just need to make sure everything clicks there and, take care of the ball.
Yeah, and, I see all these comments, man. You guys are just extra spicy when it comes to Wisconsin. You know that? Like, and I see Perez in the chat. Perez, you don't know what I have to go through here trying to back Wisconsin. I don't know if you're a true Wisconsin fan or you're just confused because Wisconsin is actually a respected school outside of this chat, apparently.
Yeah, that's real life.
But
it's not virtual.
I bring it on. I bring it on. I bring it on Wisconsin for the most part. So that's why all the hate's on in the chat. Perez. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but at least we got somebody out there who doesn't think this Wisconsin's horrible. I'm taking all you guys' reloads too, by the way.
So, great win there for TCU. Moving on to the next game, we had Oregon versus Arizona State. Now, this game, looks like a blowout and everything like that. Wargo had himself a really solid game, 2 touchdowns in this game. I don't think he threw any interceptions as well. He was moving the offense pretty well, but it was a lot of field goals for Oregon. They really weren't scoring as much as, I thought they would in this game. Arizona State's defense has kind of been terrible. Their offense is usually, lights out, but we know Oregon's defense has actually been pretty solid this year. And, they shut down a high-powered Arizona State offense down to just 13 points. I was expecting more. But Oregon, this is a conference win. It's Pac-12 dub. So that's a big win for them. And they win in pretty great fashion, almost 20 points here, 19. What's your thoughts on this one?
I thought, again, there's a couple of teams that are way down here at the bottom at 0-3 that we sort of are in the consensus agreeing that maybe aren't the worst 0-3 teams. Maybe they have just some bad breaks, whatever the case. I feel like ASU is sort of in that conversation a little bit. They show some flashes. They show that they have some talent. But, I mean, there's a reason they're 0-3. And it shows itself every week. I think Oregon may have had, a little bit of a slower start in this one, but they once they opened it up, they just whooped up on Arizona State, and it was no turning back. I don't know, Oregon just got bored, but they went straight 1980s style offense and just started running it like every play, and Arizona State still had no clue what to do.
Yeah.
They still couldn't stop it. They're like, we're going to literally run Justin Creel at you 38 times.
It was up
and
there.
ASU's like, why don't you try the B gap? Or, you don't want B gap? Okay, hold on. Come on over here, guys. Go through the C gap. Just go ahead. You're going to do it 15 more times? Go ahead, and we're going to let you score. We're going to let you do whatever you want. I don't know what they expected. Wargo didn't even have that good of a game. Like, it wasn't like a flashy game.
Yeah,
he didn't have to. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but he was like, 12 of 21 at one point?
He was doing kind of bad a little bit at first, but once he got in his rhythm and then the run game just couldn't be stopped. I mean, it would.
They're just like
still weren't really finishing like I expected them to.
Maybe not, but I just when your running back has 38 carries, 37, 39, 57 carries, and you are not stopping them, and they put up 32 points, you were doing something wrong, and that's what I think. ASU really dropped the ball in this game. Yeah. Oregon told you what they were going to do. And then they did it 20 times after they told you, and you still couldn't stop it. And when Wargo was trying to make things happen on his own, he wasn't really having the most productive day. So if you could have keyed in on the run, maybe you make some more plays and maybe you don't get blown out. But, this is probably why you're 0-3. So not a very good game for ASU, in my opinion. I think Oregon looked good, but I still want to see more out of them because, again, it's Arizona State. They're 0-3 for a reason. A lot of these teams are going to have to put together a few extra wins to get me to think that they're a contender because of some of these teams that they're playing right now. And Oregon, I think, is in that category because we saw Creel have a great game this week. He was amazing in week 1. And I think last week he was sort of quiet, and the Oregon offense couldn't really do much of anything last week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's just a lot of inconsistencies, and I just couldn't believe it, man. It's hard enough when you try to run your running back 25 times and get production, but these guys did it almost 40 times, and there was production. It's
Crazy,
just
man.
crazy to me.
Yeah, Arizona State's defense has definitely been the culprit on why they've, lost. Is one of the main culprits on why, they had that comeback loss to Oklahoma. If their defense could have kept doing a little bit more of what it was doing that first half, then, this could be a team that could have, upset Oklahoma the first week, but this didn't happen. So good defense. I mean, not good defense, not said the wrong thing for sure. Good game from Oregon all around. And, Arizona State with 13 points, I mean, they really shut it down for the most part. They need to do better.
I've been bamboozled, Smitty.
Why?
Perez was a hater all along.
Say he was a hater?
So you know what? I hope I said your name wrong, Perez. And I'm glad your comments got deleted. I was bamboozled. I'm the lone wolf.
I just read that. Yeah, see, I don't have my phone thing up, so that's why I got to keep putting my head down and stuff and looking. I can't even really read the chat. But, yeah, I've seen that comment.
This is a disgrace.
Y'all dirty. LSU took on Tennessee. Last year, this was a game that came down to the wire. LSU ended up winning that. And this was pretty much kind of the same way. Tennessee put up a pretty good fight against LSU. And the Tigers end up coming out on top here, 30-22, the final score.
I felt like after LSU came out 1-1, that this was almost, I know it's early, but I thought this was like almost a must win for LSU because they had some up and downs last year. They came into this year being a little up and down, and it almost went south for them. It looked like for just a split second that Tennessee was about to put a whooping on them. I think it was 13-3 at one point in the first half. Luckily, LSU came out and, turned it around. But I'm a little concerned still with LSU. I feel like Tennessee is a team that they definitely should have won, and I don't think they should have ever been in doubt early on in the game because I don't really know. I just not really know what to expect from Tennessee at this point. But luckily, Wayne Diesel was there. I called you Diesel. He had a pretty good game. He didn't get 100 yards, but he did have a pretty good game.
98.
Yeah, very close, but not quite.
Yeah.
This ain't horseshoes, so you didn't get 100, but you got really close, and him and Kopasek.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I say this guy's name? Kopasek. I thought he played pretty well. I just think he really needs to start commanding this offense a lot more for LSU.
Yeah.
Kopasek. I think they have a lot of weapons. I think they have good players, and they have a solid defense, but they need this guy to step up at the quarterback position. And if they do that, I think this team is going to be right back in the chase. But right now, I just don't have them up there. I just think they're a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, and they just need to feed this guy on the poster here, number 88. This guy, Brandon, is legit at the tight end position.
Hagen Brandon?
Yeah, Hagen Brandon
Yeah.
is a beast. And
Yep.
He had that one touchdown over the middle where he, Kopasek had a great pass as he was getting pressured, almost sacked, threw the ball off, got it out there to Brandon. Brandon shakes off the tackle, just runs right through it, and then shows you even the speed for the big guy, running it in there for the touchdown. So I really like this tight end. I like this team. Gambino went off in the game as well. So the LSU's offense, it got the weapons. Like you said, Kopasek just need if he could get in rhythm with these guys, this LSU team's going to be a team that's going to be possibly consistently putting up more than 30 points like they did here against Tennessee, which was kind of expected for them to get the dub here. But Tennessee put up a really good fight as they did last year. Moving on, North Carolina versus Louisville. This is a game that was kind of closer than I expected, but at the same time, the offense of North Carolina has struggled at times to put up points. And McCain, another week with an interception, but a much better outing. He's finally had more touchdowns than he had picks. Mm-hmm. I think it was 2 touchdown passes, and then, of course, the 1 interception. But who was really the star of this game for North Carolina was the running back, Elijah Swan. I mean, this guy was going off and creating plays even when they weren't really there. And Louisville, this was their toughest opponent. And, of course, they dropped the ball, but they at least still made it close. I think the defense, other than the pass game, the defense honestly didn't do too great. But a lot of the mistakes of North Carolina is what kept Louisville in this game. And Louisville did a great job, at least, of not having the score look bad. But still, North Carolina did what they had to do. 28-14 is the score. What thoughts do you have on this?
I think this was somewhat of an underrated game because while we didn't get a chance to see Louisville in week 1, they did win
Against Tennessee, who we just went
against and North Carolina has been playing pretty well, I think. Granted, McCain has been having some issues, but I thought that for a team for their first year in the college series, they've been playing rather good. And I was impressed with McCain. Like not like, holy crap, you just did some amazing stuff, but we saw how bad things went for him in the first couple of weeks. And granted, he had the interception, but he also had 74% completion this week, and that is not easy to do. No matter what kind of playbook you're running or what kind of team you're playing, that's a good stat line for completions. That's making smart decisions with the ball. I thought he stepped up, and like you said, I think a lot of that has to do with Elijah Swan at running back making plays for the offense, because when you have a running game that's working well, your quarterback doesn't have as much pressure on him, and he can divvy up the throws to the right people. He has more time. He might not be getting as crazy as looks. So it's all a perfect balance. You can't usually have a good offense without a good running game, and you can't have a good offense without a good passing game. They have to somewhat intertwine, and they sort of put that together this week, and you saw a big improvement in McCain's play from it.
Yeah, and another thing, you got to credit these guys. The defense of North Carolina did a phenomenal job too, because Louisville was, their offense was kind of rolling the first 2 weeks. They did a great job of getting pressure back there, getting sacks, especially Lennox Malone. First game having a sack, he ends up with 3. So North Carolina's defense really was a huge component in this game. Gave McCain quite a bit of opportunities, and the team just did what it had to do. So great job by UNC. And moving on to the final game, might as well call this the Amari Bone game, because this guy was literally the entire offense, the entire team just about of Florida State. I will say that the defense of Florida State was crazy too. I mean, their defense actually looked pretty solid quite a bit. But Iowa, this is a team, they started out the season pretty nice. Elliott, his first game, 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, he was looking great, but hasn't really looked up to par ever since. I mean, Louisville game, he didn't look too bad. It was a close game. He lost that one 31-29, and it was a shootout. But he got absolutely shut down here. But back to Amari Bone. He scored all the touchdowns. This guy scored literally 3 touchdowns in this game. A screen, 2 runs, and the first touchdown run, he ran through like 4 guys, bounced off him like it was pinball, and then showed the speed, took off. What vibes he's giving me right now in the RFL? He even got his face at running back.
Who's that?
Who does he look like?
I'm trying to see the face. Let me blow this up here. You aren't gonna say what I think you're gonna say. No, you're not.
What do you think I'm gonna say?
I think you're gonna say Trey Worsley.
Yeah. This dude's giving me Trey Worsley vibes.
Oh,
this guy is giving me Trey Worsley vibes, man. He's doing everything. He's breaking tackles. He's showing speed, hitting you with juke move, taking over. I mean, this guy's with his same face and everything. He's just extremely explosive, and he just took over that Iowa game. They won it there, 24-13.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was the offense. He's just like Sharkley. I feel like if we would have asked this question a week later, last week we talked about who we were looking at as our top offensive performers and top defensive performers. I'd have to go Sharkley or Bone. I'd have to at least consider the both of them, and Bone would probably have been that guy after this week's performance. He was insane. Florida State as a whole just had a great first quarter, I think. Yeah. I mean, Bone the whole game, but FSU went off for a quarter, and then they're just like, just
died second half,
and we're just gonna let our defense do what they want.
Points,
and they just coasted to victory. And I like I said, I was pushing for Iowa State early, and I still think that they're gonna play better than what we expected them to play, especially after we saw what the rosters are like and what we saw Elliott Rivers was gonna be overall wise. But they are starting to show their overall, and I think this is one of those situations. I just don't think they have the talent to hang with a team like Florida State, even if Elliott Rivers is playing well. And especially if they can't get Elliott Rivers going like in this situation where he was shut down.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an impressive win for Florida State. Amari Bone is absolutely phenomenal and
Bad to the bone.
yeah, bad to the bone. If I would have said that, you would have called that corny, but since you said it, I guess it's cool.
Hey, that's a good
but,
name, but it matches really well with him.
It does,
Yeah.
it does. But I'm just telling you, if I would have said that first, everyone would be like, "Oh, Bill, you're cheesy." No, Smidge said it, so you can't call it cheesy.
What were you thinking about saying that?
I would have definitely came up with something like that because that's right up my alley. But no, I mean, Florida State is going to go. They're a team that they have to go up the run game. There's some guys where maybe the quarterback is good, but the run game is where it's really at. And I think Florida State's going to be one of those teams. So it's going to be fun to see if teams can find a way to shut down Amari Bone and how Florida State responds down the line if they figure out how to do it.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal game, man, by him. Just said, I'm going to just play the first half. We'll cruise out the rest, like he said. And the defense, gotta give it to Florida State's defense. They shut it down. Did a good job just holding on to 13 points. Moving on. All right, now we are back to statistics on the board here. Let me turn all these on since we should have the rest of these games. Okay. All right, I think I got them all on. Yep. All right, so Clemson and Notre Dame. Clemson really shocked us with the 0-2 start, but one thing I think people forgot about, Clemson started out 0-2 last year, and they ended up making the playoffs. And it was in week 3 that they bounced back and were able to win. And it was the same exact scenario with an upset over a hot Notre Dame team. I mean, it was a great fight. But then towards the end, Clemson started really pulling away. It's the best game by far by Cinco Cardenas. Performed extremely well. Noah Walker was rocking. And they end up, in a sense, towards the end, blowing out Notre Dame 37-19. Thoughts on this?
I feel like I owe Cinco an apology. I think I was dogging him pretty hard last week, or maybe it was the week before. No, it was last week. I was saying that he's got to stop playing this conservative stuff and actually try to push the ball down the field.
Yeah, he heard that.
He heard that because, man, he had a game. I was impressed. And on top of having, what was it, 348?
Yeah, 348, yep, two touchdowns.
81% completion?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? That's insane. And it was a great win for Clemson. I was waiting for them to do this because I was shocked that they were 0-2. I thought they had a solid team coming into the season. And like I forgot about that they started 0-2 last year, but they were so good last year towards the end. I think everybody just sort of forgot that even happened.
Yeah. Could be the same scenario.
It could be because I mean they looked really good and against a team that we thought was looking really good.
Yeah.
I will say we've seen the last 2 weeks that Jet Blade has had some issues on and off with consistency. And it's again, I know I say it a lot, but man, it is so important. It costs you. And once you start trickling down that hole of like inconsistent play, turnovers, not being able to finish drives, this is the kind of stuff that starts happening. I don't think it was this is going to sound really weird because I know it's sort of redundant or it's sort of like a double negative, but I don't think this was a game that Notre Dame lost. I think this was a game that Clemson won. And I know that sounds weird, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Clemson played great today. Cinco Cardenas stepped up really well, and that's even with Vince McDonald having a really good day as well for Notre Dame. Again, Walker was there to help him, but I was really impressed with Cinco Cardenas.
This one's killing me.
Uh-oh. Hey, take care of it. He is so touched because Cinco had such a good game. Like he can't even get over it. Like he's got a tear in his eye for Cinco right now because he stopped playing like he was trying to protect the ball.
Yeah,
good job.
It was a great game, man. Man, too bad for the Jay Matthews guy who submitted the wide receiver to Clemson because he had to turn into Jeremiah Miller Jr. now. And that boy went off 4 catches, 122 yards. He was eating. Then, of course, Noah Walker, he's eating. And we talked about, Jet Blade, man, with that streaky play, man. And, the blade looking a little dull, man. Butter knife, like my man Mix usually says, man. It just was not looking like, was not looking like, like a real blade out there, man. No Samurai Jack. He just came
This
out
is why,
here.
guys, you don't pick cool names, because if you play bad, that cool names because if you play bad, that cool name
Yeah,
turns into a dumb name real fast.
yeah,
We make
plastic,
sure of it.
the plastic utilities knife. What they call that joint? You know when they got it in the
Uh,
little plastic for you, and it's
I
like
don't.
the white plastic. They give it to you like, yeah, can I get plastic instead of the silver?
Yeah, just the
Yeah,
plastic. The
plastic
cutlery.
knife. Yeah,
You see a
so
little plastic. Yeah, that thing's like the next stage down is a spork. So
yeah,
you better at least keep this
so
level up.
yeah,
You don't want to become a spork.
the blade was weak in that game, man. It really wasn't sharp in that game. Well, could have been a lot better, man. You gotta be sharp on those passes. He's been a lot of incompletions, and at the end of the day, I think the team still played good. Like you said, this is a game that Clemson won because Vince McDonald 3 straight weeks with 100+ yards on the ground. This guy's a beast running the football, and Clemson just came ready to play. They showed they wanted it more, and they got the job done. Great job.
You guys can say don't come for guys' names, but hey, you have a name like Jet Blade, you better play like a guy named Jet Blade.
Yeah.
All right, you can't come into the place with a name like that and not play good. Like that's just you can't do that. So you're gonna get a ploy on words. It's not that we have a problem with you or nothing. It's just fun. And hey, go out and prove us wrong next week.
Yeah. And hey, man, let's get a moment of silence and RIP for the streak, man.
Oh, I got some stuff to say about this one.
Man, unfortunate loss here. The 17-0 streak of Georgia comes to an end after a hot start. Now, it was a great game. They put up a good fight still. And people thought Georgia was going to be able to pull off the comeback and win it just like they did against North Carolina. And they fall short by 4 points. South Carolina is 3-0. Georgia takes their streak ends. And this was a actual what's it called? Fun facts with Pat moment that he had. And it's crazy to me because guess who the last team was to beat Georgia in the RFL College Series?
I don't even know, man.
It was in the bowl game they played. I can only say one name, Roy Kincaid.
No way.
The boy went off for the 3 touchdowns.
Tennessee?
Tennessee was the last team to beat Georgia in the bowl game, in which they record-wise weren't eligible for, but because there was an odd number of teams, they had Georgia was the next best team that was 5-7 that year, and so they got to go ahead and play Tennessee, and it was still a close game though. But Roy Kincaid went off, man. That was like one of his staple games that really got him looked at as a first-round draft pick. Of course, ultimately ended up in Salt Lake City playing for the Elks, but yeah, they took the loss here, and this generic quarterback, Alec Rhett, man, is looking crazy right now. I mean, he threw the same amount of interceptions as touchdowns the first 2 weeks. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions week 1, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions week 2, and that was against LSU. But it seems like this guy, he never looks at the play that happened. He always looks at the very next play. That's all he's worried about, the next play. He always puts the previous play, whatever was bad, he puts it behind him and he moves on. And you can see that in his play every week. I mean, even look at the obstacles. Even the first week against Washington, as I talked about, winning in overtime, taking care of and driving them down the field on the first drive, winning the game with that touchdown run up the middle with Mike Jeffers. And then week 2, the way he started, interception, pick 6 against LSU. Then he comes back the very first play after they get the ball, throws a deep bomb down the field to I think it's Rucker. I think it is Rucker down the field. He makes a catch. He's been clutch. And, he does it again here, hitting all of his targets, moving down the field, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions this week against a really great Georgia defense. And, 20-16 ended up being the score, man. What's your takeaways? What do you want to take out from this game here? What do you want to put on blast?
So, first of all, I think some guys, man, just learn best by making mistakes. And like you were talking about Rhett before, I mean, you look at the NFL. Look at a guy like Peyton Manning. That guy threw like every interception he could his rookie year. You wouldn't have known that if you watched him play 2 years later.
Yeah.
Some guys just learn like that. Maybe we're looking at this the next best thing in Alec Rhett here. I don't know. But what I do know is that Georgia's win streak comes to an end. And Rhett didn't make any like outstanding crazy plays, but he kept things going and he took what was available to him. And I think in a game like this where you're playing a team that nobody expects you to beat, it's the best way to play because you got to be extra careful with a team like Georgia. They are going to come at you hard no matter what's going on in the field. That's the kind of team they are. So taking care of the ball is very important, and he did that. I am shocked. I thought it was very impressive for South Carolina. And, Alec Rhett comes in here and, hey, here's another shot here, man. McCall, you had 3 shots at these boys. Alec Rhett came in here one time and ended the streak. McCall had not 1, not 2, but 3 chances.
Yeesh.
And he couldn't do it. So he went to Miami, and Alec Rhett comes in and gets the job done. I'm just playing, McCall. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It was just funny. I thought about it before. Like, I got to mention it. Anyway, I do want to say something because I know some people think some things about how this went. Yes, there are some things going on with Ahmad where we broke a game 5 times to get it to play correctly. Yes, some guys did not have the correct things they were supposed to have because of said issues, but so did everybody else. Yeah. So I do not want to hear any excuses. These things happen. They've happened in the RFL that people don't know about for certain games. They happen all the time. You just got to accept it because while Georgia might not have been in the right book, maybe South Carolina wasn't in the right book.
They weren't.
Maybe Clemson wasn't. Maybe Notre Dame wasn't. So while I can understand completely the frustration from something like this happening, it happens to everybody, and guess what? Honestly, if I'm Georgia, I'm happy that we finally lost. Get that pressure off of our back. Let us reset, get back to business, and go get us another national championship. You still got plenty of opportunities to do that. There's only 2 undefeated teams. You're not going to get bumped out of anything yet. And everybody knew you were going to lose at some point. You're never going to go. This isn't where you're going to go on a 50-game win streak. All right. This isn't high school where you're the only good team in the entire state. This is college football, RFL style. You're going to lose. Let it get done now so you guys can reset and go back to work. So I wouldn't be too upset about it, but heck of a game for South Carolina. They really proved a lot this week. They're 3-0 for a reason. Guys got to look out for them.
And that's a good thing, too, to get that L out the way early because when you get that L out the way, especially now that most of every single team, I believe every single team, and this is only for the defense for whatever reason, it only happens to the defensive playbook. All the schemes are correct. The offensive playbook is correct. But the defensive playbook, they just switch every game. And so we figured out the problem. Good thing. But, now that we know that has happened and we're going to fix that for every team, I feel like Georgia's going to come back and play the game, their game. They still played really well against South Carolina. They just could not score. And that still is on the offense because this is the same offense you guys been running. This is the same exact. You had no problems on the offensive side of the book, and you only were able to put up 16 points. So, to me, that tells me that they shut it all. I mean, look at Jakarius Best. I mean, I told y'all about Best. First game was rocky. The week before, he went off a $140. Yeah, that was nice. I said, but look, the way that first game looked, I'm not sure about this kid all the way yet. I need to see what he does the next week. 18 carries, 30 yards.
Yeesh.
Wow. That is good. Shut down. And so that
I thought you're like, dang.
Wasn't going to hit that heat on him. But yeah, let's get the bell for that, man. The run game, if the run game was any good at that point, it would have been, I think Georgia would have had themselves a good opportunity in this game. I don't think Asai Reese played bad, though. There's a couple of missed passes, but at the end of the day, I still think he played a good, solid game. But the team as a whole, there's a couple of key drops that could have helped them convert on big third downs and things like that. And a lot of drops, a lot of bad plays. It still comes down to the offense to a sense, because I mean the defense still held a great South Carolina offense to 20 points. So they still, in a sense, even in the wrong book, did their job. And the offense, that, in my opinion, that's on the offense for just getting up 16 points.
I think you got to give it to South Carolina for not letting Bess make plays, because while he's been up and down, he at any time can make a very, very big play, and they were able to key in on that. So I mean, you gotta give it to South Carolina for that. That's a solid play. I mean, ain't no defensive book mix-up is gonna affect that. I mean, South Carolina's defense was the one who did it. I think they had the right game plan, and that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Moving on to the game that followed this, Alabama versus Florida, and sheesh, get the bell.
Let's move on.
Just the bell.
This game.
Bama with the beatdown. Bama beat down in Florida, man. They took over the swamp. Elephants up there just stomping. Gators is dead and dead in the mud, man. They dead over there. 34-6. My boy Rocky Franklin, 4 touchdown passes. How about this game, man?
Congrats to Rocky for finally having a solid, just going for the gusto game, man. He had a good game.
I wish I could cheer.
I almost want to just move on past this game. There ain't nothing to talk about.
It really isn't.
Florida is not a good team. All right. They honestly, they are probably worse than some of our 0-3 teams. I'm sorry if you play for Florida. I'm sorry, but this is reality. You guys have been very bad this year. Alabama should have won this game. They probably should have scored more points. But either way, very impressive win for Alabama, something I expected. I didn't even have to second guess it last week when we discussed who was going to win. You could have gave these guys a 20-point spread, and I would have still said, yep, Alabama with the spread.
From Gators to lizards to geckos, man.
Yeah, Gators, it made more like baby
Florida
gators at
geckos,
this point.
Man.
I don't know what's going on.
Out
you
there,
got some bearded dragons out there instead of gators.
Not even. It's definitely the Gecks. You step outside. I just moved to Florida a little over a month ago. And the minute you step outside, the geckos see you, they running. They took off in this game. They was running from them elephants, and they took that beat down, man. 34-6.
It's just a bad game, man. Like Florida, you need to go home, think about what you just did, and then just stay home for a little bit.
Man,
sorry.
As a beat down. Kazim Cash went off. He had over 100 yards rushing. The receivers at Alabama getting fed there with 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. And that's all we're going to say about that.
That's exactly what Back just said. Marquise Washington is so fed up with how bad this team is playing. He is leaving the RFL, and he's got a flight down to Florida to go back to the Gators to help try to save what's happening.
It's crazy how you can see how instrumental certain players were. Because when he was playing for Florida in the first college series, it went 10-2, went to the national championship, ultimately lost to Clemson, which was tough. Ever since then, they had Trevor Campbell. I think he got drafted by the Huskies, to be honest. He ended up still getting drafted. He wasn't too bad, but Gators 6-7. They were 6-6, went to the bowl game. And I thought they were going to watch Iowa, man. Y'all were telling me, yo, put Iowa against these boys. Kurt Peterson.
Not against KP.
Boy,
Kurt Peterson.
Washed them, man. I think they put up, they hung 58 points or something in that game. Did them dirty. But that was sad. That was sad. And then this year, the start that they're off to, who did they beat again? I'm trying to think. They won last week. I can't remember who it was they beat, but it was you should win that type of game. But anyway, moving on to, I would have to still say it may not be the biggest upset because USC was number 4 and Ohio State was number 1, but I do still feel like this was the biggest upset of the week because I don't think anyone thought that USC was going to beat Ohio State in this game. Everyone kind of felt like Ohio State was really the true number 1 front runner in this series. And I was talking about Calvin Poole, man. I was talking about him last week. I was talking about him the week before. This guy led the series in passing touchdowns coming into this week with 7. And it's crazy how efficient he is because you look at these statistics, it don't wow you. But every single one of those completions, the reads he made, is what kept the offense going, and he was pretty much unstoppable. 32, just over 200 yards and 1 touchdown pass, but it set up a lot. And then you had Levi Dixon killing it on the ground, over 130 yards for him in a touchdown, and he was just hitting everybody, whoever was open. Ohio State just could not stop Calvin Poole and the quickness of his decisions. And Monty Wyatt had a rough game in this game, man. He was very off the entire game, missed a lot of wide open passes he should have made. Still found a way to kind of come back and try to make it close, but USC wins it here 27-20.
That's the exact notes that I got right here for Calvin Poole. He's not going to flash anything like crazy, but he does what he needs to do to get his job done and allow the rest of the team to do their job efficiently. And it shows. The run game can work. He doesn't need to bomb at 60 yards every play. Just find the open guys, especially, again, in games like this where you're playing Ohio State. Some of these powerhouse teams so far this year, you have to be extra careful because one wrong move can equal disaster. And I think he played incredible. I really like USC this year. I think that, I'm shocked that they beat Ohio State. Not that I think so low of USC, but I really thought Ohio State was the number one team. And I thought this week they were going to prove it after Georgia fell. I thought they were going to win this game, and that was going to be it. Ohio State is the team from here on out, no questions asked. But now I still think they're one of the best teams. I do, but USC is right there with them. And this game proved that. I do think that I would still take Ohio State in a 5-game series between these two, I think, because this game was still well within reach for Ohio State. And I just think Wyatt just simply did not have a good game. He had, like you said, a lot of mistakes, missed a lot of passes, and it's going to cost you. And especially in a 7-point game, it can be everything. And I feel like that's what happened this week.
Yeah, I do feel like that was the difference in this game. I'm not going to put it all the way on him on why the pass game was bad, because there was quite a few drops, especially from Brody Miller, the tight end. He had 2 of them, and they were big drops, and where they were perfectly placed by Wyatt. And then he went on, of course, the tangent of just missing wide open passes as well. If you successfully complete those, I really do feel like Ohio State probably walks away with this win. But another thing too is that USC's defense is pretty solid too, man. Pretty solid to keep a lid on Caleb Houston. 5 catches, 57 yards. He barely missed on his passes to Caleb Houston, and they forced an incompletion from him. So when you think about that, man, the defense is pretty solid at USC for sure. And this was a huge win for USC, man. One of the 2 only undefeated teams, of course, going along with South Carolina, 27-20. That's a fantastic win. I can't wait to see more from this team, to be honest. Moving on to the final game of the week. And, man, this was a banger. This was probably the best game to watch of the week because it came down to the wire. There was hella trash talk. These guys are going at it in the Discord. And, man, Miami pulls off the upset over West Virginia, 30-26. We already see the palm trees in the chat. Thoughts on this game?
I thought it was a great game by 2 teams that, like I said, last year, West Virginia was like, you have the 1A column, and like West Virginia was like right there at 1B, almost to 1A. Like they were a top team, but it was like they just need something else. And I still feel like they're trying to prove that, and they are proving it. And Miami is the same way. They were worse than I think West Virginia was last year, but they're pushing themselves. I think they have a lot better of a situation this year than they did last year in certain situations, in certain positions, I should say. And I thought both teams did a great job of establishing the ground game. And anytime you can establish a ground game, you're going to have a good day offensively. And that's what both of these teams did. I do think there was one thing, once again, this seems to be a repeated cycle in the games this week, and it is a lot of the times, and it was the turnovers, man. Taj Gaddy had some very, you can't make those kind of plays. You make those turnovers in games like this, a 4-point game.
Yeah.
Just like Wyatt, And
they were marching down the field too on that last drive. That pick, that was just a great interception play by AG3.
I'm not trying to take anything away from Miami. I'm not, because they made the plays they needed to make. But again, when you look at this game, it's a 4-point game. One team has no interceptions, another team has 2. A 4-point difference usually shows that's exactly what happened right there. And I feel like this was the case because these are 2 really, really good teams. And I do not think this is the last time we'll probably see them play. I think we can see them play in the postseason again because I think both of these teams are talented enough to get there. Yeah. But we got some really, really good matchups coming in the early part of this season. And this week was packed with great matchups. And this was one of them. Like you said, I think this is one of the best games of the week just because it was not only two great teams, but it was exciting to watch offensively, and everybody loves a good shootout.
Yeah.
And great game. Hats off to Miami. I know they're happy with their quarterback this year.
Oh yeah. No
KP's been
DJ,
doing
man.
really good. So yeah, great game for Miami. And again, West Virginia was right there. They were that close, but yeah, interceptions sometimes will get you, man. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal game by Darnell Hodge, man.
Yep.
You know, he took, you know, off a podcast, you know, mention those guys have their own, and you know, they talk about, you know, their opinions and stuff on the league, and most guys, you know, was labeling him more so it's just a receiving guy. He's not really a true running back on the ground. And you know, I kind of get what people are saying. I don't think people were actually all the way meaning it in that sense. They're just saying like there's more so that he gets used to catch passes. It's not like he can't run the ball. And you know, he just pretty much showed that either way, if somebody did think that you know, he's actually a great runner. And you know, the first week, you know, he's rushed for over 100 yards each week. Week 1, that was more so inflated off the long 80-yard run. So I was kind of still skeptical about, you know, Hodge on how good he was at the running back position, because he had like 23 carries or something like that for 108, 106 yards or something like that. And if you take away the 80 yards, I mean, that's like almost the same amount of carries as yards, you know. So, and that was against a very good Alabama defense. So, you know, he last week rushed very well, and then this week against a very good West Virginia defense, 100 yards in the right way, man. Same amount of carries, just about 23, 122 yards, and of course those 2 touchdowns, man, getting it done not through the air, on the ground. And then we saw, I really think that Miami's wide receivers are overperforming here. You know, this is a receiving core we looked at. They're like barely in the 80s, low 80s. Even Charlie Davenport's a 79 overall guy, and they're eating. They're making plays, you know, and that's big for, you know, Kadavion Polk. Sometimes you see Kadavion Polk struggle, but like these wide receivers, they help bail them out in situations where they need them, and they did exactly that. Love what we saw out of Grayson Mitchell. Did a great job on the ground. Let's also give a shout out to Shay Carroll, man. This guy was going off for West Virginia. Yeah. He probably had the craziest,
right?
Yeah, $150. Didn't see the end zone, but he probably had the meanest moss in the series on the sidelines. And like, I don't think anyone thought that was going to be caught, but he just went up there and bagged, I believe it was like 2 guys or something like that, but he went up there and caught that. And that guy was going off. Unfortunate loss there, of course, for them. But West Virginia has nothing to hang their head for after this game. Both games played spectacular. It's just Miami ended up getting the job done.
And I feel like I should add this too. Like I wasn't trying to like dog on Gaddy at all. I think he still played a really good game. It was just very untimely interceptions, and that can cost a game. So like I still think Gaddy is a very good quarterback. I just, you know, 2 plays that can completely change the game, especially that last one. And, you know, that's what happens. But it overshadows a great game because 340 yards with only, 14 incompletions? I mean, that's a good game. So.
Yeah, so that's it for the recaps. And now, well, before we get into that, let's go ahead and give a shout out to the players of the week. I want to make sure I start doing this every week so guys can recognize who's been balling out. Amari Bone, obviously, the player of the week on offense. He had a nominee on from TCU, so it was between either he or Otis Speller. And honestly, even though Speller had a great game against Wisconsin, I mean, Amari Bone was the entire offense for Florida State, so deserving of this.
Look at these names, though.
Yeah,
Amari Bone and Lennox Malone. That sounds like a 1990s WWF match on Raw is War.
Fact. Man, 22 carries, 202 all-purpose yards. I believe he had 137 rushing yards and 3 total touchdowns. Like I said, 1 receiving, 2 rushing. This guy looking like the real deal. The young Trey Worsley, man. Then we got Lennox Malone. Like I said, I spoke about him earlier in the North Carolina game. We were recapping against Louisville. Didn't have any sacks in his first 2 games. 3 sacks in his first game that he does get 1, and 3 total tackles and a forced fumble. So a monstrous game from Lennox Malone. Definitely shout out to those guys. And this is the moment I'm honestly been waiting for the reactions.
Oh, is this the power rankings?
This is the new top
You guys need to be warned here.
25. I'm warning you guys now. They do need to be warned for this because they're going to have their jaws on the floor after this.
I was so mad putting some of these teams together, man.
Yeah, so the way,
Oh my God.
before we even reveal this, the way that we have to go off of this, because this all determines, who plays who for a conference championship game. So we have to first, of course, go off of overall record. And the second thing that you have to go off of is conference standings. So if you have a team that isn't better than you over top, you can't be ranked higher than them. And if there's other teams better than them in the same position, they're better in the conference than you, they're going to be ranked higher than you. So when you see this new top 25, some of y'all are going to be OD salty.
I'm waiting for the bad reactions in this.
I'm waiting. I'm talking it up, man. This is something I've seen people say. I
want
can't
you to just
watch.
Post it, and let's just have a moment of silence so we can watch these guys.
Right, so
react.
when we post it, I'm not even going to read. We're going to go ahead. I'm about to hit it right now, and then
let's see.
Moment of silence.
Drum roll.
Yeesh.
Oh.
Yeesh. So let me go ahead and start reading. So
AR said he's leaving. He's done.
So number one team in the country now is USC 3-0. Number 2, South Carolina. Those are only 2 undefeated teams. At number 3, used to be number 1, Ohio State 2-1. They lead their conference. Big reason on why they're there. Then we got North Carolina 2-1 at 4. Yep, 2-1. Most of these guys are going to be 2-1 that we read. And Miami's at 5. West Virginia goes to 6. Alabama 7. Baylor 8. I believe there were 8 last week. Notre Dame 9. LSU is at 10. And then it's Georgia. And the reason for that is because LSU has a better conference record than Georgia does. They played their only conference game against South Carolina, and South Carolina beat them. So they are 0-1 in conference play. LSU is 1-1. And because they got that win, Georgia doesn't. They play the conference game. You can't place Georgia over LSU. And
I was so upset about this.
Yeah, it's like, man, when you think about it, I mean, we can't force nobody to be over someone just because we want Georgia to be high, because we feel like we know they're a better team than what they're ranked. At the end of the day, I know guys are looking at this crazy, but because you're going to still end up playing the same amount of conference games, this will all pan out at the end of the season. So the top 25 rankings are going to be all over the place throughout the entire season. If you still do what you're supposed to do in your conference, and you still have a good season, at the end of the day, the better team will be on the top eventually anyway. And so Georgia and LSU, man, it's unfortunate, but they go from number 2 to number 11. Each play the bell. Ooh. Texas A&M goes to 12, Louisville 13, Florida State 14, Oregon 15, Stanford 16, Penn State 17, Michigan 18, Oklahoma 19, Clemson 20, Texas 21, Iowa 22, Washington 23, Maryland 24, and Florida, even after the beating, man, is 25. So this is all the new rankings.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this as we were just discussing this, as we went through this, man?
Like you were just saying, man, I know guys got questions. I know guys are like, what is this? I was the same way. But because of the conference wins, at once everybody, like half of the teams have the same schedule right now.
Mm-hmm. So
you got to break it down somewhere else, because not only are they the same overall or the same record, but they are there's only 3 games to go off of, and there's not been enough games for these guys to have head-to-head wins over other teams. So the conference is the only other way to do it. So you have to take the conference into play, just like division wins. You take division wins in the NFL into play all the time when it comes to these rankings because of these situations. So that is where it's coming from. Everybody is like, I know everybody's like weird. If it was up to me, you can ask Smitty. I wanted Georgia at number 3 or 4. I wanted it USC, South Carolina, Ohio State, and Georgia right up there. Those 4. We could have debated about which order they went in, but that's the way I wanted it. But we couldn't do that because Georgia lost the only conference game they had where all these other teams didn't.
Yeah.
So it looks crazy, but it is true. It's going to take a few weeks to pan out. But overall, I said this last year. I say it every year in the college series and in the RFL. Do not take the power rankings in week 3 as gold because it's just not enough games to get a good enough sample size on who the real contenders are and who the fakers are and who's the in-between plays team. So
and it's usually
this is going to change.
Yeah, it's usually within week 3 that conference games start to play, which you got to see. In week 3, Georgia played South Carolina. There was a couple other conference games and stuff like that. The rest of the middle of the season, pretty much the rest of the season at this point, your conference games are going to be very important. You have to beat your conference opponents because if you are negative in your conference against, and you share the same record and stuff like that, man, you could see a team that you're better than actually getting an opportunity to be in the playoffs or in that conference championship game instead of you. So Georgia's going to have to ball out against the rest of the SEC opponents and to dominate, of course, the non-SEC opponents. And SEC is the biggest conference in the college series. They have 8 teams. All the other ones have 6. So, that's going to be a task for sure because there's some pretty good, solid SEC teams. SEC was dominant last year in the college series.
SEC is going to be dominant, man. They're going to be dominant. Yeah. It's just going to happen that way.
Yeah. They got great teams, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be limited because it's y'all all in the same conference. Somebody's got to win the conference championship. Somebody's got to represent the top 4. And I'm pretty sure most of the time you're not going to get more than 2 out of the same conference to be in the top 4. So it's crunch time for Georgia and LSU because LSU should have beat South Carolina. Georgia should have beat South Carolina. These are teams that should have, stopped this team. Now South Carolina leads the SEC 3-0. Who could have expected this? They won the same amount of games as they won in their first ever season in the RFL. They were 3-9 in season 1 of the college series, and they're 3-0.
I really wish we could see the salty people that just gave us dislikes just because of the rank. I feel like those 2 dislikes came after the rankings dropped. You guys are low, all right?
Sick.
Mad because your team didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Salty.
Anyway, I wanted to just make one comment here about the top, what I think of the top 4 teams. Mm-hmm. Obviously, one of the top 4 teams is not anywhere close to the top in the power rankings, right? What kind of a flex was it though? You go back to last year, and let's go and let's take Alabama and let's take Georgia because last year those were like the 2 teams that like nobody could really mess with.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had a matchup with the South Carolina and USC, I don't think those 2 teams knocked the 1 and 2 out. But we had USC and South Carolina come up here and they're like, you know what? We're going to take on the reigning champs and we're going to take on the guys who have been knocking everybody out and we're going to beat them. And they did it. To me, like last year, those 2 teams would have just kept pulling farther and farther away, and not this year, man. It was like
difference, man. It's a difference.
I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a good series.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And
I see that my words have made somebody rethink their dislike reasoning, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm trying to pull up. Okay, so with the new top 25, that will be posted for you guys to cry about later. But but yeah, that is the new top 25, guys. Next, we are moving on to the upcoming schedule. So this is what we got. This is huge. These guys pushed you out of this spot because they had a better conference record than you. In the first game tomorrow to start the series, the week is LSU versus Georgia.
Oh my God.
LSU versus Georgia. I'm calling it at 5:00 to start the week. Week opener. This is the game Georgia has got to come back and win.
Yep.
Thoughts on this? Well, what I have here, before I say anything here. So what I have here for the predictions, I do have Georgia coming back and win, and the spread is by 4 or more points. Thoughts?
I will take that. I don't think Georgia drops back-to-back games. So I'll take that with the spread.
All right, next game, Rob Roby calling this at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, North Carolina versus Penn State. I do feel like this is an easy one for North Carolina, but Penn State still, even though they won by 1 point, I still do feel like they are a team that can keep things competitive, even though they got blown out by Notre Dame. North Carolina's offense kind of been, up and down. So because of that, I do have it within a touchdown. They have to win by 6 or more points, and it's North Carolina.
I got North Carolina, and I got them for the spread. I think they're going to play well this week. I do not believe Penn State is a real 2-1 team. I am sorry, but that is what I feel.
Gotcha. All right. We move on to the premier games. First, kicking off the 1 p.m.s with Florida State versus Louisville. This is an SEC conference matchup, so very important game. I got Florida State by 4 or more.
I also have Florida State, and I will take them on the 4 or more spread. I just think Amari Bone is a man to be reckoned with, and I do not think Louisville is a team that's going to stop him.
All right. I think you already know who you're going to try to choose here for this one.
We got the two W's
let's see if
facing
Bill
each
can
other.
be a realist on this one, which I doubt he will be. Wisconsin versus Washington. Before he even answers this, I'm going to let you guys know exactly what the debate was from last week. So we were debating for spots 30 and 31 for like 5 minutes on who was better.
Like
Washington, right? Probably 10, yeah. Washington or Wisconsin. This is the opportunity now for it to be known who is better, Washington or Wisconsin. I got Washington by 4 more points.
I said it last week, and I'll say it again. It's gonna be Wisconsin. All right.
Wisconsin?
I said I was gonna stop talking last week if they lost. I said it, but I lied. I'm still gonna talk about them. I'm not gonna stop.
Right.
It's gonna be Wisconsin.
All right, we'll see, man. I got Washington. Bill got his Badgers. Next game at 1 p.m. Maryland versus Texas. Maryland, look, got the dub, but it was against UCLA, man. Texas has been off too. They won against UCLA, but they got the home field advantage. I got Texas, and I got the Longhorns by a field goal or more. I think it'll be close.
Yeah. This one is tough, but I do think Texas has more firepower. I think they'll take it, and I'll take them on the spread.
And that was one of the main reasons. Those receivers, man.
Yeah.
My boy King get on his groove with them and turn down the turnovers.
King's got it, man. He's just got to settle down sometimes, it seems like.
Yeah. And for the final 1 p.m. game, Tennessee versus Florida. This was also a thing we kind of had a debate, and it wasn't really too long, but Florida ends up still making it in the top 25 after the blowout L they took from Alabama, 34-6. Tennessee is at number 26, so this is an opportunity for them to possibly move up in the top 25 rankings if they can win this after a close loss to LSU just last week. I got Tennessee, man. I think Tennessee is going to win it by a field goal or more.
These matchups, man, I'm liking what you're throwing out here because I'll take Slim Duncan in Tennessee for this game.
Conference game right there, SEC matchup.
I'm sorry, Florida. You guys heard me before. I think you guys are going to lose quite a few more games. I hope you prove me wrong, but yikes.
Moving on to the 4 p.m. slot
Tim
games.
Tebow in. Say a prayer for you guys.
Get my man Keith's back there, man. Back and let you borrow.
Just kick
It's
some
off
stuff.
season. But Arizona State and Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's going to get their first win here, man. I think they're due. Too many close games. I don't think they make I think they're going to make mistakes in this game for sure still. But I don't think it's going to cost them. I think they beat Arizona State by 4 or more.
Yeah, if we're gonna take one of these 0-3 teams to win, I would take OSU over Arizona State because, like you said, OSU they've lost by a total of 7 points all 3 games. You said,
yeah, 3 the first and second week and 1 last week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take them on this one.
Yeah, and the second game, TCU versus Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M's been red hot. Hey, TCU, you got your first wins against Wisconsin.
You got lucky,
and you barely got out with that. So, and you're on the road. I got the Aggies here. I do still feel like TCU can keep things close, so I give it to Texas A&M by winning by more than a field goal in this game.
Yeah, I love TCU's offense. I just don't like their defense. I think that they have, I mean, like I said, Sharkley has been playing out of his mind. But I just think Texas A&M's got it. I think that they have a way better defense. I think if anybody's going to stop Sharkley from, going crazy, it's going to be TCU, or it's going to be Texas A&M. So I'm going to take them with the spread.
Yeah, and not only is it that I'm worrisome about TCU's defense, I'm also worrisome about Deotis Speller. He's going to put up the yards. He's going to make the plays. When is he going to cut down the turnovers? That's the real question right there. And you're going up against Texas A&M, who, man, they pretty
just
much strapped up Baylor.
They strapped them.
So I don't know, man. I'm not feeling too confident with TCU in this matchup.
I mean, my gosh, that was an incredible performance by A&M's defense, even though they lost. Like you gotta give that to them. And against a team like TCU, like, no offense, but I don't think that Speller's gonna be able to do much against that defense.
Yeah, might get punched on this week, man. Iowa versus Michigan, the conference matchup right here, Big Ten. And I got Michigan though, man. I think they're on fire. They got the home field advantage. I think they're gonna win by 5 or more.
I think so too. Michigan, I'm done rooting against you. I'm done clowning you guys. I think Michigan is here. Austin Briley, he can have 50-something awareness for all I care. He is playing lights out. He doesn't even need to think he's that good. We'll just go with that. We're gonna go with Michigan. As long as Briley keeps playing like he's playing, I think this team's gonna be tough to beat. And I'll take him on the spread, of course.
All right, final 4 p.m. slot game. Pac-12 matchup, UCLA. I don't think we're going to ever have anything in their favor until they actually pull off a win. I got Stanford by more than a touchdown, 8 or more.
Yeah, I'll take Stanford in this one.
You think because it's a conference game? Because I think they are in the same division, so it will feel like a conference, like a divisional game.
I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible that UCLA could do something. It's just they have just been losing so bad.
Blowouts, yep.
That I just don't see it changing right now. I don't know. Like Stanford, it's not like Stanford has an outstanding offense or an outstanding team, but I just think that they are a little bit more well put together, at least mentally at this point, with the shellacking that UCLA has taken for 3 weeks. To pull it out. So I'm gonna have to roll with Stanford on the spread.
I believe UCLA's defense gave it like 30 points every week. Dudes.
UCLA defense needs Jesus. They need some milk.
All right, and then we finish off Premier Day with a Big 12 conference matchup. It's a great Oklahoma, West Virginia. But Oklahoma is looking kind of phony to me, man. They're looking extremely phony this year. This ain't the same Oklahoma with Daryl Johnson, your boy you picked up in the first round with the first overall pick. I got West Virginia by a touchdown. The reason why I still got it close because it still is a conference game. And I think they do have these guys in the same division within the franchise file. So you never know what you could get out of this.
I think that if this was last week before Oklahoma got embarrassed like that, I would probably say this would be a really good matchup. But I think West Virginia is going to win this handedly. I think West Virginia's defense, if you had a hard time coming back last week, you're definitely not going to try to play comeback kid this week. So, yeah, definitely West Virginia. I would take them on a 10-point spread if that's what it was.
Sheesh. All right. Then we move on to went down. Move on to the Sunday games. So Oregon versus USC. USC's the number 1 team in the country. Oregon's a solid team, but they played the number 1 team in the country, a week ago, which was Ohio State, and they were no match. USC beats Ohio State. So I really feel like this is USC's game, but I do feel like Oregon's going to be a lot more prepared against a second matchup against the number 1 team in the country this week. So I think that they're going to hang close, and USC is going to win it by more than a field goal, 4 more points. Yeah,
I'll take that. I think USC is, well, like last week, I think they're a team to beat, man. They proved it. They went up and they knocked out one of the best teams. Yeah, I easily am taking USC in this one with the spread.
And then Rob Roby will be calling the Baylor and Auburn game. And big reason why Rob's called a lot of Baylor games, but I had to squeeze this game in for a call for a primetime game because this was the game. You remember when Auburn didn't make the cut because of Clemson and they had to play him in the bowl game, and then Christian Williams went off for those 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Payback here. It's payback here for Baylor. and Christian's now on Baylor. So this is going to be crazy.
And his receiver from last year is an explorer.
Yeah. And so and Auburn's been terrible. And so I definitely got Baylor in this by 6 or more.
Yep, I'll take that for sure. Baylor is no, they didn't have the best game last week, but they did get the win. And I like them a lot better than Auburn right now. I got Auburn and UCLA fighting with each other right now, to me, for like a worst team in this series, unfortunately.
And on the final day for week 4, we have some banger matchups to end the week. Miami versus Notre Dame. I got Notre Dame winning at home, man. 3 or more points.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I gotta roll with the palm trees in this one.
Palm trees.
I think Miami's gonna take it. I see all the palm trees coming up in the chat. I think Miami's got this one.
All right. Prove me wrong, Miami. I think there's a good chance you do, which is why I have the spread real small, but I don't know. I kind of like the home field advantage for Notre Dame in this matchup, man. And we close out Clemson versus Alabama. This is just a great
This is now a really good game.
Yeah, a really good game. I got Bama winning, though, at home.
Yeah.
4 or more points.
Sorry, Cinco, but I think Bama will have this one. I think Clemson is turned it around. They had a great win last week, but I do think that Bama is the more well-rounded team at this point, and they've been more consistent, so I'm going to have to roll with Bama.
All right, so
And
that is
with
the
the spread.
schedule, and I'm posting the spreads right now for you guys to bet on in the Discord, and that has just gone live for who you guys can bet on. So, all right, that's it for the schedule. And I believe the last thing, let me see. Okay, yeah, so this is just pretty much a question to ask here. So, with South Carolina and USC being the only undefeated teams now, do you feel that they are, the question I have on here, I think I could word it better, it says, is USC and or South Carolina a definite playoff team?
That's really tough. Because, I mean, obviously right now they're in the best spot to secure it because all they really have to do is keep up with the rest of or not keep up, but keep up with the rest of the teams. They're ahead of them right now. As long as they tie with them every week, win, loss, there's nobody's going to knock them out, I don't think. At least not enough to knock it to the playoffs. But I think there's way, way too many 2-1 teams that could very well end up being better than both of them in 4 weeks. So I'm gonna say, I mean, I think one of them is guaranteed. I think at least one of them is guaranteed a playoff spot, but I don't know if both of them can get there. And it's a possibility that neither of them get there. We could see, any number of these teams that have a 2-1 record that aren't fancy 3-0 right now come through and end up knocking them off. So, I can't really say that right now. I don't think that I can safely say that either one of them is guaranteed a playoff spot.
And that's the main answer I was kind of looking for, is that, like, it's not nothing guaranteed, but like how you feel. Like, I do feel the same way. I feel like if one of these teams were to be in the top 4, I have a greater chance of making it in the top 4. I'm going with USC. I think USC and South Carolina's look really good, but I do feel like USC's got a high chance of being in one of the top 4 spots for sure. Will they do that? We still don't know. It's still early. There's still teams just a loss off, but if they keep things going here, and they could really start pushing even further if they can win this week against Oregon. They can win against Oregon in a dominant fashion. That's a conference win too. USC is going to be looking really good. But that was my one question I wanted to throw out there. And then, so at this point, I don't have any graphics for this. I just wanted to speak on it. I talked to you guys. I put out a message in the Discord about the reload, about you guys being able to use reload bucks. I have finally, finished making the wheels and stuff for the reload bucks. So what I'm seeing right now, I didn't have too much time to be able to look all the way in it, but I do feel like it should work for most of all the wheels for you guys to actually be able to put reload bucks down to upgrade what's 85 now, of course, increase to 90 because you're in college. So all the rules for how to spend your reload bucks to upgrade your player is the exact same. The prices are the same. So I should have probably got found the graphic on that. I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it because it was so far back. But it is on the website for you guys to know what the purchases are. Let me see if I could actually pull up.
That should be in there.
Yeah, I'm about to actually just pull that up on the internet here.
You guys all with these crazy different emojis and whatnot in the chat. I always got to approve your guys' messages because the system's like, whoa, were they spamming? No, they're just weird.
All right, here we go. Reload bucks. I close that. Did it pull up? Okay, here we go. I know it's got it. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to get the window real fast for you guys. Window capture.
AR, I'm not sure. What do you
There we
mean?
go.
Are the conferences correct in the file? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Yeah,
I mean, we do. They're correct, but the schedule is handmade by us, and so is the power rankings. And there's not
whatever's in the file doesn't mean
Because I mean,
anything.
the file still has a 4-team conference or division because it is still a Madden game. It's not a college game. So I mean, technically, it's probably not 100% correct, but that's why we make our own schedule.
And not to mention, we subbed out. It was correct, but since we subbed out, switched in new schools, they got some schools that aren't actually a part of that division, that conference that's there. But we don't go off of that. We know which teams are part of what conference, and we just do that, and we come up with the decision on who gets placed where. But this is the reload bucks. So this is how it will work in the RFL. So the prices are the same as you can see here. Tier 1. Let me see if I can blow this up some more. That's going to look weird, so I'll just do it here. All right, so Tier 1, the lowest reload buck package you can buy is a 1,500. You have to have at least 1,500 reload bucks, which will give you 3 attribute boosts. Now these are randomized, which is why I said I was building wheels. So I just take a randomizer wheel, I spin it, and whatever comes up, that's what you get boosted. That goes for Tier 1 and for Tier 2. So you get 3 random boosts for Tier 1, 4 random boosts for Tier 2. And then if you want to have some control, if you want to have control over where you place them, this does not mean that you could put this anywhere though. You can put it anywhere that's allowed. So say speed is something that cannot be adjusted. If your speed is low, you cannot adjust that because you guys can, at this point, you don't actually get faster. So we give you certain things that you just absolutely in your position or period cannot upgrade, but you can choose anything outside of that to be able to use your upgrade for. Now you cannot dump all 5 of these points that you'll get from the Tier 3, from the 50K reloads into one section. You have to put at least 3. You have a max of 3 that you can place in one category, and you have to space out the rest. So that's how that works. So that way we're not getting nobody OP moving quickly in one stat. It's a gradual grind. It's a gradual build that your player is going to get better. Now with that, you could see with Tier 1 and Tier 2, you have 4 different options that you can choose from on what gets randomized and randomly boosted. So strength related attributes that you want to get boosted. Say for instance you want to be stronger, or you want to have some type of attribute boosted that's related towards strength, you get the gym rat package for your position, and that will have a category of other different attributes that goes along with your position that's going to be on the wheel spinner. And whatever comes out, you'll get strength related attributes. You get speed related attributes for the speed trainer, for your for your position. Then you have the film junkie, which is awareness based, which it goes to a lot of the majority of the important things for your position. And then you have endurance. You guys don't worry about endurance because there's no injuries and stuff like that, but stamina is a thing. Injury, even though it's not counting for you, it still gets transferred over. So you may not be getting hurt in the series, but whatever injury rating your guy has, that's what you're going to have coming in from college to the pros. That's the only thing that gets transferred over exactly as it was. So this is one of the big things that took a big hit on Drew Brewer. Like, he was playing amazing in the first ever RFL college series, but he had 70 stamina the entire time. And so that's what he came in with. So you might want to look in getting endurance related things at some time too. If you're curious as to what your rating is, don't ask me who somebody else's stuff is. You only ask me about your player. And whenever I get the time, of course, to respond to you, I will. But yeah, that's for endurance. You get like stamina, that all three of the injury stuff. So stamina, toughness, and injury. So that's the endurance. Awareness is a lot of stuff. You can see, I have this posted in Discord somewhere too. I'm pretty sure I think it's in the information section where you guys can actually see what comes for your position, what's on the wheel spinner for you to go get. So make sure you guys look at that, and then you guys can purchase it. The difference, though, everything is the same. The difference is in the RFL, you can only boost an attribute up to 85. There's some that you can't even do that, but the ones that you can't even do that will still stay the same as well in the college series. But anything that's an 85 is now increased to 90 for college guys, because that's not going to transfer over that way. So if you want to boost something, to a 90 that you don't have that is available at that position to be boosted, then you can use your reload bucks to do that. Most of the things you guys submitted anyway, you had 199, 390s. So it's not going to be too much that you're going to be able to boost in terms of, those attributes. I don't think you will. Yeah, you can't boost at all because it's 90 already. But your 85s and things like that, other things that you probably didn't submit for, you can gradually increase with this. So that's all I can say with that. Any questions in the chat? Because that's really it. That's all I have for the podcast right now. So how many times you can only buy an upgrade once every 2 weeks. You cannot buy multiple upgrades. It's a gradual thing. That's why I tell guys, the only purpose of reload bucks, you still have to, of course, grind for them, because it gives you a chance to be better in the series, and especially in the RFL, it gives you a chance to actually be able to play. Because in the RFL, if you did not have reload bucks, or even increase it, and even a chance to increase a little bit, you most likely will be on the bench for most of your career. So
I still have a couple of questions that I see here. First one is, where was it here? Would route running go under route running?
I have all the things underneath. All of that is in the Discord.
Yeah, I was just gonna
I
say
can't
there's
remember
a whole
all of them off
bunch
the
of
top
them
of my
like that.
head, but it's in the Discord. I think it's in the information tab. It has for every position what you could get out of those packages. You got to go find that.
All right, Alvin Mack, how many times can a player buy an upgrade pack? You can buy one upgrade pack every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you can max, and this is if you max out enough reloads, you can max at 30 upgrade points per season.
Yeah.
No more than that.
So you got a total of 30 points attribute wise.
Yeah.
That's for both. That's going to be the same for the college series as well.
Chris Dunn is asking, once you purchase tier 1, can you save up another 15 and do tier 1 again? You can do that as many times as you want.
The
tiers are just price points.
Yeah. You can buy any tier as many times you want, but once you max out at 30 total attribute points that you've spent, that you paid for, and or I'm tripping. I think that's just about it. That's it right there. Once you beat that 30, that's it.
Yeah, AR asked if he can save for the pros. You technically can, but guys got to remember, once per year, I think we're gonna do it once
The
before
only
the college
reason,
series.
yeah, the only reason you guys stuff didn't get reset this year after the end of the RFL season was because it was new and y'all just
Yeah.
earned that, and we didn't want
Yeah.
that to go to waste. But
Yeah.
once the RFL season comes around and that ends, from that point on, everyone's reloads, no matter where you are at, will be reset to 5,000.
5,000.
So
So
if
if you
you-
have less than 5,000, you won't lose any.
Yeah.
If you have more, you're gonna drop to 5,000.
Yeah.
And we do that because we don't want guys to just come in one day and like, oh, now I'm gonna buy 4 packs and jump 5 overalls. You know,
Yeah.
so
You still got to grind to earn that. And this is how we simulate, someone working to get better. If you really are an RFL fan, you really put in the time, you watch the games, you're here, and you're built for it. That's going to be great for you doing that because it immerses you. But if you're not doing that, you know what I'm saying, your player is just going to be stagnant.
so if you, let's say you have 20,000 reloads
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the college series, right? You have until the end of the RFL season to spend at least 15,000 so you don't lose any.
And you're still limited too because you can't spend more than one on more than one package.
Yeah. So it's one package every 2 weeks, max of 30 points a year. It sounds pretty complicated, but the reason it is because, again, we don't want a guy who's a 68 overall turning into a 78 by the end of week 4.
That's definitely not happening.
So if you have, 15, 20, 25, 30,000, you can buy a pack or two, do some betting, whatever else, and then you'll still at least go into the season with 5,000. Because, we made the price point at 5,000 because we want guys to be able to still continue betting and using reloads for whatever they want, but also not having to start from scratch because starting from scratch sucks, and we all know that.
So at least with 5K, you'll have 5K off the rip to put down bets or do something to try to grow that back up again. So,
and yeah, Pat, I highly recommend, considering you are now one of my centers, to spend some of your reloads before you reset after this next RFL season. I would really, really appreciate that as your coach.
Yeah, and see that's the beauty of the system too. Because I've seen people like Leo saying he loved the system. That's the reason why it's in here, because we do this so that there is no you actually earn that. But even though you're grinding for it, it's still a continual grind to get even better. It's not something that's going to automatically throw you, like Bill said, 10 overalls, or I'm going to be starting next year. No, it's still going to be a grind. You still have to show up to everything. You still have to earn those reload bucks. What it does is it gives you an opportunity to possibly be able to start. Without reload bucks, period, like I said, you guys will not grow at all through Madden system. You just don't progress that way, and that's a realistic thing because you're not on the field. So reloads are extremely important for that reason. There's other things, that we have reload bucks for. Let me see. Do I have it on here?
Yeah, we could have easily made a thing where give us $500 and you can be an 80 overall.
We're not
but
about
that's
money,
just,
man.
That's just cheese, man. That's just, there's no fun in that. We want this to be a real grind. We know this is a video game, but we want this to be real life. We want guys to want to work for it and feel a sense of accomplishment when they get to their player to starting spot or do these things. So we know there's other leagues where you can just, kiss somebody's what or pay so much money and just be good. And we don't want to do that because that's just too easy,
So
we know it's not for everybody.
Here, but I think this is something that was being debated. I was questioning that to see, but there's a good chance maybe traits could be adjusted, but
Exactly, Reed. Darius would have 299s already if it was,
That's the thing, because
he'd just be throwing money, but
but this is the thing about Darius. He got a good payout, but people tend to forget. Let's look at these prices again. What's Darius got? 266,000?
Yeah.
So if he's got 266,000, first off, you don't want to use the randomizer, because the randomizer is going to, you might not get what you want at all. And that's a waste of some of the points that you want. And so because of that, you most likely got to spend $50K every time that you buy something. That's only that's five boosts. So 50K, 100.
I mean, really,
that's 5
looking at
boosts.
this year, all those points that Darius has, he can use them all this year, but he would have to basically spend them all on a tier 3
Mhm.
or the student of the game package for the 5 that he can choose.
Yeah, because
Which
if he
is
spends
50,000 each, because he could do that a max of 5 times with his current one and get 25 points. Plus, he could still squeeze in a tier 1 for an extra 3 to max out at 28 points for one season. But that's all he can get. So
yeah. So
it's still a heck of an upgrade.
yeah, it's gonna help.
I
you.
mean, like,
Definitely.
let me put this out there for guys too, because we have a coaches upgrade package where we can, as coaches, pay above our monthly dues to upgrade a particular player that's not a submitted player. It's a CPU generic player, whatever it is. They don't follow their player, and I did that with Henry Dockett. And I also did it with Jared Cunningham, who is now a Voyager. But Henry Dockett, when I took him, was a 78. By the time I was done with my 1 year of upgrading him, he was an 85. So if you put your points now, of course, I could choose where they go, and it's not always that drastic. He was just missing a couple of key spots like awareness, which shoots your rating up. But if you put the work in and you get your player there, you can go up 2-3 overall in a season if you really are dedicated to getting reloads, which means you're coming to the games, which means you're betting, which means you're active in the Discord, and it all is a working circle. It works for us. It works for you. It works for the players. It works for the coaches.
Ain't
It's
no
a great
pay
system.
to win crap going on. You literally earn that, opportunity because you were an active member. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. And then AR had a question about does upgrading your points in the college series upgrade your ceiling for the pro rating when getting drafted?
It gives you a chance of that.
Yeah. So like if you have an 85 at awareness right now, that means your cap coming in could be technically an 85. I'm not saying that's realistic, just using it as an example. If you up that to 90 somehow by the time you leave college, now your cap would be 90. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Potentially.
So the way whatever your attributes are in college is the cap that the ceiling that it could possibly be. Of course, if it's realistic, because some of the ratings, whoever built the college mod in the first place has really had some crazy attributes all over the place, man. So a lot of those get knocked down seriously anyway. But if you had 80, like he said, 85 awareness, and your quarterback obviously looked like he wasn't aware on the field, you up that to a 90, the quarterback starts looking like he's more aware on the field. Your cap ain't going to be 90, but I guarantee you, because we're seeing that difference, you're probably going to have a point or two higher in awareness because he actually is showing it more on the field since it was increased. It just gives you the likelihood of something being better because your player could display that. It might not help you, but it definitely gives you a chance.
So Reed asked about the random spin. If you hit something that's already maxed out, if I'm not mistaken, you respin, right?
Yeah, I respin.
Yeah, respin. We're not gonna do you like that.
Yeah.
And then Spotty Cornett.
Mm-hmm.
I know that name. I've seen it a lot of times. I feel like I haven't seen that name in a while, but
yeah,
interesting name. Anyway, it's not that random. Every position, Smitty went ahead and has this app that basically he can choose the position and it has the attributes that it can be upgraded for these different tiers. So you couldn't be a quarterback, do the randomizer, and get route running as an upgrade. That would never be an option.
So
it's going to be something that would benefit your position.
Yeah. So what I like that's the thing I was saying earlier. Like that's why I created the wheels. Every single position has its own wheels for each tier too. So I have a wheel for the gym rat quarterback package, a wheel for the speed trainer quarterback package, awareness quarterback package, and the endurance. But since endurance is the same for everything, I just made one wheel for that. There's only going to be awareness, injury. No, I mean not awareness, injury, stamina, and toughness. So like that's for everybody. But there's every position has a wheel with those attributes that you could possibly get from the package that you buy. So that's why it took me a minute to make all those, but I have them already done. And so when somebody does put through a package, another thing is when you do get one, when you do purchase one, you have to mark it down in the chat that you like what points you got, because we will keep track of your points from 30. And don't even try to delete them, because we have a thing that lets us know if you delete. If we find out that you put a package in and you pay for something and then you try to delete it like you never bought it, your player is not going to be draftable, period. That's serious cheating for me, and I do not accept that. You know, I don't tolerate that at all. Your player won't even be eligible for the draft if you do something like that.
And then quick meditations, the reloads are spent in the Discord. So if you are not part of the Discord and you have a player either in the RFL currently or I don't even know how to. I mean, when does check-in start again for the college series
I've been
players?
trying to do it. I think we was trying to do some other stuff, but Baker hasn't been able to be available as of late because I think he's got a lot of work going on. So we might actually go back to the old system just to do this, because I'm seeing some guys just falling off, and I think that's going to, of course, help the league keep guys active. So we're probably going to go back to the old system, but I think the difference will be I might do something where you have to comment on the actual video. So, and it's got to be during the stream, because what that does is it helps out the YouTube channel as though there's more interaction on it. I know a lot of people interact during the live chat, but what really pushes the channel
comments.
is the comments actually on the video. So if you guys actually leave comments on the video, and just one, you don't have to do multiple, just put one comment, and it's within the time frame to where you were actually there live, then that's going to count as a check-in. I don't even think you're going to have to screenshot for that, simply because you know, we already have it on record on YouTube. We'll see when you sent it and be like, okay, this guy's commented this during the stream, he was here, we're going to give him the reloads.
Yeah, and AR, we're not going to leave you hanging if you spent. I'm pretty sure though, if you spent money on a package that you couldn't have bought yet, we probably would have reimbursed your reloads, or if not, we should. Or if Smitty wants to let you have it now. He says he did it earlier this year before the series, so I don't know. We can probably look in the records and the bot logs.
I'm gonna look into it, because my boy Lito don't be lying, but I'm pretty sure I did get every single person.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I saw a question about RFL players. You guys can start upgrading your players once preseason hits.
Yeah,
preseason week 1 is the first week.
You cannot upgrade if you're not in that season. So if you that's just how it goes. Advertising on you. Yeah, I've noticed that YouTube, and shout out to I know I haven't had the time, man. It's a lot that I'm trying to do, man. I know I've told you guys before, so I'm gonna just say it again. Like, I'm trying to, you know, prepare myself to get into the Air Force. So I'm gonna be in the military. It's gonna be a point where I'm gonna have to, you know, step away for quite some time. But I know my guys, Bill and Rob, you know, gonna be able to hold it down.
Me then.
Yeah, but yeah. So that was it again. Yeah. So I have to get in contact with how am I blanking? AR has been talking a lot about advertising. I actually looked into it too myself, and I did see the thing. I already know how to work those, but I don't know how to do, you know, the funnel stuff, and that's what I'm gonna get with him on. So we'll be chatting, and we'll definitely look at doing some advertisements, you know, stuff on YouTube like we do on Instagram and stuff like that.
Who the heck was that guy who said, like, 2 years ago we should be advertising? Who the heck was that guy?
No, we did it. We did it.
Who was that
Bill,
guy?
we did what you did, but you remember
that guy,
they didn't have the settings. They did not have the settings, bro. They did not have the settings that they got now. They literally was taking money. You had to catch when they were taking your money.
I know.
That thing shot up to like $300 on us or something like that. And we was just like, yo, what? We had no control over
7.5 views, I think.
Yeah, it was like 7K views, and I was
that is something we look at. We look at all that stuff. But like, for real, Smitty, like, I just can't remember who the heck was that guy. Who was that guy with that great idea?
I think he was
that long ago.
I think he was bald, man.
He probably was.
Bald.
He had such
Humpty
a big
Dumpty
brain. The
with a
hair
beard.
fell out. There was no room for the hair because the brain was so big because he's so smart.
Tony Soprano, I think. Is that his name? I can't remember. I don't know. That guy had a pretty smart idea. Yeah. But
Mitch, you're fired. Get out of this chat right now.
What did he say?
He said it was Shelby. I shouldn't even have said that name.
Oh, wow.
You're done. You're done, Mitchie.
I don't know who that is.
Just like the Celtic Tigers finished the Snowhawks.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm salty. Yeah, I'm
Smoke.
salty. We got L's for
Who wants
Wisconsin.
smoke
We
with
got
me?
L's for El Warel.
Who wants smoke with me? Man, what's that rapper's name?
Which one?
1, 2, 3, 4.
That helps.
I ain't gonna say that. I'm trying to remember his name, man. He be rapping like he got Jolly Ranchers in his mouth. Like he's saying.
I'm not
I
taking
know
the
his-
hat off.
oh, yeah.
CP.
Nardo
I'm not
Wick.
taking the hat off. There's a whole lot of baldness under this hat.
Nardo Wiki. Who wants smoke with me?
If you didn't see it, you didn't see it. Sorry, I did it quick.
Man.
Nardo Wick.
Nardo.
What is that name?
I actually used his song on a TikTok post.
I should be quiet because when I was growing up, everybody's name was either Young or Lil in their name. That was like everybody's thing. So I should just, you know what? You're doing something different now. Good for you.
Man, I used that on a TikTok video, and like I don't know why TikTok does not have they only have like the explicit version. They don't have a version without the cuss words in it because of course I'm not trying to post that publicly. But that joint fit the song so good. I just left it on there on TikTok. And that's when Eric ain't gonna like to hear this because that was a game where you know what Amari did. He went off and he was bagging him on that song. I was like, oh,
I ain't taking the hat off, CP. You can drop it.
Man,
It's all like.
I wonder if they got a clean version. I'll play that on the phone right now. Let me see if they got a clean version. I doubt they do.
Brazier, how are you gonna blame the hat on Wisconsin, or blame? You know what I mean?
Oh, we
You know
gonna
what I
get
mean.
copyright though if we do that.
Don't do that. Don't copyright us.
Yeah,
Don't copyright us. Don't do that.
man. But yeah, that joint go hard though. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, was it you or Rob who did the Penn State game?
With Notre Dame?
I think it was that game. No, this past week. I think that was the game I was thinking of.
I did.
There was
Against
one
Clemson,
game
right?
where it was just like Madden 22 music playing through the whole thing.
Oh yeah, that's Rob, man.
Oh.
He didn't know. The thing is, he
Yeah,
had.
I figured he didn't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
bro,
sitting there
I was
listening
like, oh
this
man.
is not Madden 20 soundtrack, is it?
Yeah,
No.
that was Madden 22. So I was like, man, he probably had the game on, building his
He was
team.
probably
or
building
something.
his team or something
Yeah.
in the background while
Didn't even know the music was going on.
as soon as I heard it going, I'm like, man, this dude is in there building his team right now and doesn't even know.
Yeah, that was crazy. I seen one dude talk about too. He said, "Yeah, I really don't like this
Yeah.
soundtrack going on in the background."
The ESJ's got it right. You don't want me to headbutt you. There's a whole lot here that can just knock you out.
Yeah.
Bam!
It seems like when
Just
you
like
lift
that.
your hat up, it just don't end.
It doesn't end.
Just keep seeing.
It doesn't end.
Just keep seeing.
It just
head.
keeps going. It's like that TikTok challenge thing they did where they did
Yeah.
the
It's
check
still
your
going.
hairline. There is no line.
Oh man.
But guess what? When you got a nice round head, you can pull off the bald head. You can't come out here with all weird looking cranium and then want to shave your head off because then you just look
Here's a
spooky.
scientific fact for y'all, man.
Oh boy.
So y'all know if y'all gonna bald like Billy Antis here. So if it all depends on your mom's dad.
Yeah.
So if your mom's dad is balding like Bill, then that's going to most likely be you,
And
brother.
you're gonna be Bill.
You're going to be Bill. My grandpa ain't like
this.
that. I just got a big
All
forehead.
this.
I got a big forehead, but I got hair. This is going to stay where it's
Here,
at.
There you go. This is it.
Woo!
There ain't no hair. Look at the
Dump
baldness.
it.
Look at the baldness.
Oh my
Are you happy
God.
now? Are
One
you happy
Punch
now?
Man. Look like One Punch Man with a beard. What is it, Santama or whatever? I don't know what it is. I just said the boy name.
There
Yeah,
it
go on.
is.
Man, he called his brain a yolk.
Here we go. Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean. Here we go. I haven't heard that one before.
Mr.
Are you guys going to drop
Oh,
cue ball next?
man.
Real clever.
Yeah,
Real clever.
The cue ball for sure. At least you, I don't know.
I had more hair before I had to start taking care of these prospects every year.
Yeah. It looked like the back. It looked like you have the potential to grow an island back there, but it's just, you know what I mean?
No,
It's
there ain't
like,
no potential.
I ain't doing that.
No, there ain't no potential. That
Now out
potential
here
left.
trying to look like George Jefferson or George Washington, trying to hang on for
the
dear life.
potential is gone. There is no potential for this. But you
Yeah.
guys see how nice and round the head is, though?
You
I
gotta
can pull it off.
You got to get the Bron, man.
Oh, just glue it on there?
LeBron.
Just
Yeah,
get
the
some
glue.
Elmer's glue and just
Or,
put it on there?
Or you can rock the low cut for the rest of your life and get a tattoo with hella dots
I think I'm going to
to
get a
make a
mullet.
hairline. A mullet. An island
Yep.
mullet. With the half.
Full on mullet.
Full on.
Full mullet.
Man.
I'm gonna get a
Jerry
Jerry curl mullet. I heard the
Jerry
Jerry
curl
curl's coming
mullet.
back this year, or the perms. One of the two. Kids are starting to do it again.
Yeah, you need to get the James Brown wig on. That'd look fire.
I can do it. I put a wig on one
It'll
year for
probably-
Halloween, and I
look
looked
like
like
Jack
Meatloaf.
Harlow.
Apparently, if anybody knows the band Meatloaf, apparently I look like the lead singer. I bet nobody in
I
this
don't know
chat
who that
knows
is.
the lead singer or who knows who Meatloaf is aside from the stuff you get fed at dinner.
That's it. That's all I know. So anybody got any questions? I don't know where this podcast led off to, but you see. You said the wick wig, yep. The wick wig.
See, people do know Meatloaf.
He got to get the Austin Powers joint.
But anyway, apparently I look like the dude from Meatloaf when I got a nice shoulder length wig on.
Now we got to look this guy up.
I think you're just gonna get a picture of meat.
What the band? Like, can I just put band Meatloaf?
Yeah, but just put Meatloaf lead singer or something. Well, not now. Not anymore.
Who said you look?
This is
did
like
you
the
dirty?
70s, man. You can't look at a picture
Oh
from
my
nowadays.
God! Whoa! Oh, nah, I wasn't trying to do all that. Oh,
Man, you know
homeboy
what?
was hefty.
You know what? Now I'm starting to think that they don't know what they're talking about because I had facial hair at the time. This
Yeah,
looked
they did
nothing
you
like
dirty.
me.
Oh my God, he looked like he was screaming. I believe I can fly. Look, he looked like he's screaming that joint. Rock
He is.
music. He
He
looked like
is.
Andre the Giant with a wig on in this joint, don't he? What's going on?
He
Look,
looks
he
like
was
the
killing that
Undertaker that Undertaker forgot to go on a diet.
Dang, man. Look
Yeah.
at this. Low-key vampire. Van Helsing here.
that's rough.
Jesus. Whoa, look
Oh,
at this.
That is good.
Man. Yeah, he
That's
look like he
good.
turned into a werewolf right now. He looked like he in a
He
on a
looked like
play.
one of those guys from like a vampire movie.
Yeah. And look, even the old head version. Jesus.
Yeah.
Nah, this looked crazy though. He was definitely hefty bull back then.
Yeah.
Sorry if anybody's a fan of this guy. You know how we do. We roast out here. Man, this guy look like a bag of milk with a shirt on, don't he? Oh man.
Good.
I'm gonna chill out. so that's it. That's it for the podcast, man. we gonna holler at y'all boys next week, man. Tomorrow, make sure you guys tune in for the where's the schedule at? There you go. So make sure you guys tune in for the games tomorrow. LSU, Georgia. I'll be calling that to kick off the week, 5 p.m. Eastern. And Rob Roby will be calling North Carolina versus Penn State. Big games, big week. The RFL College Series legacy continues. And with that being said, it's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner, play commentator, joined, of course, along here with Bill. And we are up out of here. Peace.
It's a brand new season, baby. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. It's a brand new season, been a long wait, saw some players up, put them on my highlight tape, college series here, gotta hear my name on draft day, AR in the pocket, automatic, that's a closed case, excitement building up, I ain't been asleep in 3 days, gotta make a statement to the scouts on the first play, only way to win, you gotta dominate in each phase, offense, defense, and can't forget the special teams, I ain't worked for nothing, went through summer camp with 2-a-days, gotta win the natty, only satisfied with first place. I hear them haters hating on my team, but I ain't hearing them. If they line up on the other side, then we ain't fearing them. One false move, hit stick, defense killing them. Knew them boys were sweet, up inside, banana pilling them. We up next, time to show we the best around. RFL, college series, rep your team and rep your town. You're looking at the future of the league, yeah, it's here and now. Step on the field, boy, you best believe it's going down. Cause yeah, you know we scoring. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Touchdown, 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 touchdown.